Hey, it's Ron MacLean from Hockey Night in Canada, and you're watching Coach Stubbs.
I'm at Hockey Day in Canada, and I'm interviewing Ron MacLean. You've been hosting Hockey Night in Canada for many years. What moment from broadcasting that you will never forget?
You know, Charles, I'd say my first Stanley Cup playoff game, not the Stanley Cup itself, but the first playoff game was in St. Louis, Missouri. Toronto Maple Leafs were playing the Blues, and I did my little opening at the Zamboni entrance. And then the game started, and two Toronto defensemen were pasted up against the glass, ferocious St. Louis forecheck body checks. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, they're going to go at it this way for the next 9 weeks.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the intensity, how it had ratcheted up from the regular season. I'd done 2 years of NHL hockey, but not a playoff game until that game, 1987, Toronto-St. Louis. That's for sure my favorite moment.
Yeah. Before becoming a broadcaster, you were a hockey referee. How did that experience help shape the way you see the game today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Refereeing, I think, and broadcasting, I liken to teaching. When you're on the ice as a referee, you're always in communication with the players. They say a game is like a bird in your hand. If you squeeze it too tight, you kill it. If you don't hold it tight enough, it flies away on you. So, and I think education is a little bit that way. You want to empower the student, but if you give them too much free rein, you may lose them in their focus. So I just felt I was a manager of the human condition, or hoping to be. I failed, obviously, all the time. But you want your guests to be the star, so a teacher wants their student to shine, referee the players to shine, broadcaster the interviewee to shine, just like you're doing here.
Yeah. You've interviewed so many players and coaches. What secret makes someone feel uncomfortable during an interview?
Research, prepare to find out what makes them tick. Are they the type of hockey player that likes to talk about technical aspects of the game? Are they the type that likes to talk about the latest album by Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Learn what their likes and dislikes are, and if you sort of discover a little secret about them. Like tonight, I was interviewing Francois Beauchemin and Caleb Desnoyers, and I knew that they had a connection. Francois Beauchemin's son, Samuel, is the best friend of Caleb Desnoyers.
Yeah.
And that would make Caleb, light up a little bit. And if not him, at least Francois, the dad.
Yeah.
So learn something, prepare, and let that person you're interviewing know that you've done the work.
Yeah.
And then they'll feel that connection, that trust.
Yeah. Hockey Day in Canada celebrates across the country. Why do you think community and grassroots hockey are so important to Canadians?
Well, Charles, I was telling the story tonight again of Robert Irving's father, said that the best fertilizer a farmer can have is his footprints on the land. And the message there was you have to be out with your product. You have to be out with the people who provide that product. And so Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada is a way of being in the rinks in Victoria and Canmore, Alberta, and Moncton, New Brunswick, and so forth. Unless you do that, there's a disconnect. The best way to really know, like they say, if the joke's funny, the people will laugh. You have to be out amongst the people. So it's a lovely opportunity, and I always thank my lucky stars that when I was your age, there was a show on ABC television called Wide World of Sports. They'd go all over the world and tell us about hurling in Ireland or Australian rules football in Australia. And I was wide-eyed and amazed at what people in other parts of the world liked and did. And that's what this show can do.
Yeah. Charlie Bourgeois has been a mentor to me, and I know you know him. Can you tell me a funny story about him?
I can tell you a really funny story. First of all, Charlie was a godsend to me in my young career. I started with the Calgary Flames in 1984. And because I knew he was from New Brunswick and my mom and dad are from Cape Breton, I thought there'd be a connection. So I was kind of brave to go. I was really shy and intimidated, but not with Charlie. He was kind, and I knew that he might connect with my maritime roots. So he was always my go-to interview when I would do the Flames games. But one year I came down to Moncton to support his golf tournament. He had the Atlantic Hockey Group, and he did a lot of charity work. And so I came and stayed at the Beau Séjour, and we were going to golf the next day. And that night I went out to a little restaurant bar called Ziggy's. It's no longer. But we spent lots of time at Ziggy's, like way too much time. I was still there at 1 a.m. And when I went back to my hotel room at the Beau Séjour and I kind of stumble in at 1:30 in the morning. There's a man in bed in my room. It's a CFL legendary quarterback named Russ Jackson.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had teammates or roommates.
Yeah.
So I was so embarrassed that I was walking in on poor Russ at 1:30 in the morning, and I just remember that kind of got me straightened away. When you're at these events, Ron, you're not Madonna or Taylor Swift. You might share the space with some other individual, but it happened at Charlie's event, and I always remember it as one of my big comeuppances along the way.
Yeah.
Do you know the word comeuppance? I don't even know if I know it, but it was an embarrassment. How's that?
Yeah. If you could pick players from any era, where would your all-time starting lineup be?
Definitely have Jacques Plante in goal. Jacques Plante was a netminder from Montreal, retired, came out of retirement with, he played a little bit in New York too, came out with St. Louis, then to Toronto Maple Leafs, played well into his 40s, amazing. He was an innovator, first guy to full-time wear the mask, used to signal icing to his defensemen, used to rush and play the puck. Just a genius. Wrote a book called Goaltending that I subscribed to, and I played net up until Pee Wee. I would have him in net, Jacques Plante. I would have on the blue line my mom's favorite defenseman, a guy named J.C. Tremblay, nifty little guy that nobody knows about, but I liked. And then I would go to Cale Makar from the modern era. On my forward line, I would definitely have Wayne Gretzky at center, Mario Lemieux on one wing, and Sidney Crosby on the other.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the interview, Ron MacLean.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
That's a good.